Have you ever prayed and felt like heaven was quiet? You whispered your worries to God. You asked for guidance, for healing, for a sign. But the answer didn't come the way you expected, and slowly, a question began to grow in your heart. God, are you still there? Take a deep breath, because if you've ever felt that way, you are not alone. Even the strongest believers have walked through seasons where God seemed silent, where prayers felt like they were floating into empty space. But here is something many people don't realize. Sometimes the moments when God seems quiet are the very moments when He is doing His deepest work in your life. So let this message sink into your heart, because by the end of this message, you may begin to recognize something beautiful. God was never absent. He was simply preparing something greater than you imagined. Imagine someone walking through a difficult season. Maybe it's a job they lost. Maybe it's a relationship that broke their heart. Maybe it's anxiety that keeps them awake at night. Or maybe it's simply the quiet weight of life pressing down on their spirit. Every night they pray, God, please help me. They ask for direction. They ask for peace. They ask for strength. Days pass, then weeks, sometimes even months, but nothing seems to change. Have you ever been there? That place where your faith is still alive, but your heart feels tired. Where you still believe in God, but you secretly wonder why His timing feels so slow. You see others receiving blessings, doors open for them, miracles happen around them. But for you, the door stays closed and the silence begins to feel heavy. But here's the moment most people overlook. God's silence is not God's absence. In fact, some of the greatest stories of faith began in seasons where nothing seemed to be happening. And what happened next reminds us of something powerful. God is never late, not once. Here's something important to understand. God works in ways we cannot always see. While you are waiting, He is preparing. While you feel uncertain, He is arranging things behind the scenes. While you wonder if your prayer was heard, He is shaping your future. Think about it for a moment. A seed placed into the soil disappears, and for a long time nothing seems to happen. The ground looks the same, silent, still, unchanged. But underneath the surface, something miraculous is happening. Roots are forming, strength is developing, life is growing quietly in the darkness. Your spiritual life often works the same way. Sometimes God allows a season of waiting not to punish you, but to prepare you, and there are beautiful truths hidden in these quiet seasons. First, God is strengthening your faith. Faith grows strongest in uncertainty. When everything is easy, faith feels simple. But when life becomes difficult, when answers don't arrive quickly, that is when faith becomes real. God is teaching your heart to trust Him even when you cannot see the outcome, and that kind of faith becomes unshakable. Second, God may be protecting you from what you cannot see. Sometimes the door you want opened is not the door meant for you, but from your perspective, it feels like God is saying no or saying nothing. Yet the truth is, He may be protecting you from pain you cannot yet see, from paths that would lead you away from peace, from opportunities that would steal your joy later. What feels like delay may actually be divine protection. Third, God may be preparing something bigger than the moment you are in right now. Have you ever noticed how the most beautiful things take time? A sunrise unfolds slowly. A tree grows for years before it becomes strong. And sometimes the blessings God prepares for you require time to build. Not because He forgot you, but because the story He is writing in your life is larger than this moment. And here is the moment where God's answer becomes clear. Often when people look back at their lives, they suddenly see it. That delay that once felt painful actually led them to something better. That closed door guided them to the right path. That waiting season deepened their faith, and suddenly they realized something powerful. God was working the entire time, even in the silence. So what can you do when God feels quiet? How do you keep your heart peaceful when life feels uncertain? Start by returning to stillness. Instead of filling every moment with worry, sit quietly, take a deep breath, and simply say in your heart, God, I trust you. You don't need perfect words because God hears the language of your heart. Then remember God's past faithfulness. Think about your life for a moment and remember how many times God carried you through something difficult. moments you thought you wouldn't survive, yet somehow you made it through. The same God who helped you then is still guiding you now. And finally, release control. One of the hardest things for us to do is let go. We want answers, timelines, certainty. But faith often begins when control ends. When you release your fears into God's hands, a surprising thing happens. Peace begins to return. So right now, let these truths settle gently into your spirit. You are not forgotten. God sees every tear you have cried, every silent prayer you have whispered, every moment you have wondered if things will get better. And even now, His plan is unfolding quietly, faithfully, perfectly, even when it is invisible. If you are in a season of waiting right now, please hear this. God's silence is not the end of your story. It may actually be the beginning of something beautiful. Because sometimes God works the most powerfully in the quiet places of our lives. One day, you may look back at this very season and realize it was the moment your faith grew deeper, your heart became stronger, and your life was guided exactly where it needed to go. So take another deep breath and remember this simple truth. God is with you, even in the silence, always. And if this message brought peace to your heart, share your prayer request in the comments so I can pray for you, or simply write, Amen. I read the comments and pray for the people in this community. And if this message encouraged you today, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you never miss a daily word of hope, faith, and encouragement. Until next time, may your heart be filled with peace, and may you always remember that God is working in your life, even when you cannot yet see it.